From LPM,
Louisville Public Media.
Welcome to On Track. I'm Aisha Jaffer. Late last year, Louisville's Mid-City Mall was put up for sale. Since its opening in 1962, this building has gone through many changes, but has always served as a community hub for a variety of businesses and services. Coming up, we'll hear from some of those current business owners on the mall's importance in the community and what they hope for the building's future. We'll also talk to Helene Kramer-Longton, president of the Tyler Park Neighborhood Association. She has lived in the Highlands for more than 30 years, 26 of those in Tyler Park, and she is a member of the group's Mid-City Committee focused on the mall's future. Helene, thanks for joining us today.
You're most welcome. Pleasure to be here.
So for those who are not familiar with Mid-City Mall, how would you describe it?
I would describe it as iconic in the Highlands. We have tremendous walkability in our neighborhood, and the Mid-City Mall is really the center of that. It's got a lot of retail that people have come to know and love. There's the entertainment piece. We've had medical practices in Mid-City Mall. There is one now. There have been drugstores in the past. There have been a variety of different businesses. Some have experienced more success than others, but there are a couple of pieces of the Mid-City Mall that our neighbors tell us, and our board at the Tyler Park Neighborhood Association feels that we'd hate to see go away when this is ultimately redeveloped.
But I want to ask, too, because you've been in the Highlands for 30 years, how have you seen the mall change over time? And what has been its influence on the community and actually vice versa through that time? Well,
in that time, I have seen improvements made, in terms of the selection of different stores. We've seen some come and go, certainly, but there are some that have been there for a long time that people, again, have come to know and love. Some have come and gone. I think the owners have, put money in over the years to improve the facade, to improve the physical look inside of it. I think the library being in there, has truly made the Mid-City Mall a treasure. And, the family, the Metz family that's owned the Mid-City Mall for a long time has been really a wonderful business citizen, and has maintained close connections in the community and so on. So there have been things that have changed, but kind of at the margins. I think that the bottom line is there's been the Value Market supermarket there for a long time. The Highland Shelby Park Library ended up there. Probably, I guess that was in the late 90s when it left Cherokee Triangle across the street, for a bigger location. And since the early 90s, we've had the movie theater, which people have come to really love. And it's important to remember that movie theater didn't start out quite so well. There were neighbors that had concerns about how late it would be open and the kinds of crowds, in terms of numbers of people, who would be in the movie theater, at one time, and what the impact on parking would be, on noise and all of that. And that is an example of a great, neighbor business partnership that ended up being, really another beloved asset. And I think that, I can't tell you, how well the movie theaters itself is doing financially. I know movie theaters are struggling, nationally. But I do know the parking lot's full a lot. And, for something where there was so much skepticism at the beginning, I think it has turned out to be really a great thing.
And it's just so classic. The doors on it, Art Deco. It seems like a very treasured piece through time, really.
Yeah, and they renovated and to put in all of the cushy chairs, that you can adjust. You can have an alcoholic beverage there, of course, during the hours, when that is legally permissible. So it's very well done. The selections of movies I'd put up against anything around town, and so that's something that folks don't want to lose. But it's important to remember, that all of these businesses, with the exception of the library, and we could talk about that some if you'd like, are business entities. They're private sector entities. So whether these businesses stay around in whatever that new configuration is going to be, is going to be up to them. That's between them and the new owners. I talked to the owner of the Mid-City Mall nail salon where I go a lot, and I asked him what he thought, and he said, "Well, if there's an opportunity and I can afford it, I'll stay. If
Absolutely.
not, I'll have to find somewhere else to go." So there are a lot of questions.
So was it a surprise that Mid-City Mall went up for sale?
No, it's been rumored for a long time. The Metz family, has, been in very close contact with neighbors, and they're apparently have been, discussions, and as informal as they are, that the family was looking to perhaps move on as the owners get on in years and so on, and so it was always in the ether, shall we say, always in the ether.
So then this kind of touches on that, because you're talking to them and kind of aware of this process. Can you tell me a little bit about what a neighborhood association does and the role that the Tyler Park Neighborhood Association plays in business development in the Highlands area?
Okay. Yeah, the Tyler Park Neighborhood Association, and it's kind of similar to some of the others. We do things to keep the quality of life unique and fun. So we have signature events at the Tyler Park Neighborhood Association. One of them is the Big Easter Egg Hunt that attracts kids from all over our city. Every year, we probably had 700 or 800 last Easter. We do a jazz festival called Sundays in September every year, and we bring the best of jazz in Louisville and beyond. And at the end of the year, we do something called the Festival of Hope. The nickname is Light Up Tyler Park, kind of like Light Up Louisville. We actually light up the bridge in Tyler Park, and now we're lighting up both sides because we found the budget to do that. And we, celebrate the season, in sort of a non-sectarian way. And it's really beautiful to see the park lit up. In the past we've done 4th of July picnics and so on. So that's sort of the fun part, the quality of life part that people have gotten used to in Tyler Park. Then there's the not so fun part when we're dealing with matters of crime. We are not immune from that. We work very, very closely, with our LMPD 5th District and the Major Grissom, to get briefed on what's going on. Certainly when we've had some of these traumatic incidents, we've had homicides on Bardstown Road. Many of them appear to be bar related. Those are matters of concern. So we work with the police on that. We work with our Metro Council member, Ben Reno Weber, on different things that we might like to see, whether we want maybe the speed limit could use some re-examination on a certain street because folks are speeding, or the sidewalks need repair. We work with the Olmsted Parks Conservancy on making Tyler Park a better place, to make sure that it's beautifully maintained. There was a master plan several years ago which transformed the park. That's why we have pickleball courts now. We helped raise money for those. So to put it in a nutshell, we are definitely the advocates for fun and the advocates for our neighborhood when things are not going so hot.
So a lot of like infrastructure, quality of life, like you said. But what about business development? What's the role in business development in the neighborhood association?
We don't have a role in business
Okay,
development. I think that that's more the Highlands Guild there, and which focuses exclusively on business. They're sort of a mini chamber of commerce, but their role is sort of more neighborhood. It's called the Highlands Commerce Guild, I should
sure.
say. We don't have a role in that, but we do, during our events, certainly, promote local businesses. We let our neighbors know. We, in our jazz festival, we give away a lot of prizes in our raffle that come from local businesses, and we try to really promote those and get people to check them out if they haven't before, because that is a part of who we are.
So what led to the need to create the best named Mid-City Committee, and what does the committee do?
Well, the Mid-City Committee was formed a couple of years ago because we had credible intelligence that the Metz family was looking to potentially sell the Mid-City Mall, which didn't really come as a shock because, they've been in business for a lot of years, and some of the family members are getting on in years, like all of us are, and looking to do some things that may be different. So we knew that a couple of years ago that this was in the ether. So we, for a couple of years, we were just sort of monitoring, when is the ball going to drop? From here on out, we have been collecting feedback from members of our board, from our neighbors. People talk, to us. They come to our meetings, which are the fourth Thursday of each month at the Mid-City Mall Library, to tell us what they're hearing, to tell us what they think. From this sort of point, we're going to be moving on to more formally surveying our members. We have more than 250 households, about 70. It's about 17%, yeah, of Tyler Park who are members. I understand that's pretty good in this day and age, but we're going to try to go beyond that to actually gather some data about what people are thinking, what's on their minds. The challenge right now is we don't know who, if anyone, or any entity is going to buy it. We know it's the hottest piece of real estate in town, or at least the hottest piece of neighborhood real estate in town. It's it's very valuable in a walkable, eclectic part of our city, and we're reasonably sure that there's going to be interest in it. But there are all kinds of other factors. What's the real estate market like? What are interest rates like? All sorts of things that come into play. So we don't really, beyond a few things that we do know that we want to keep, no matter what, that are on our wish list. We don't know what it is we'd either be advocating for or advocating against. There are so many unknowns right now.
But once that comes up with the Mid-City Committee, then you kind of know what your neighbors are hoping for.
Exactly. So right now I can tell you that the three things that are mostly non-negotiable based on the feedback that we get from our neighbors and on our board are, number one, the library. That is a public sector city entity, and we've got the most leverage with that. And our Metro Council member, Ben Reno Weber, is all over it. We would love the Highlands Shelby Park branch of the Louisville Free Library to stay in the Highlands. Now, there's talk of Shelby Park getting its library branch back. We fully favor that. We want to keep our library right there. We think it's a great location. Or if it moves, we don't want it very far from where it is. The other thing is the value market supermarket. Now, we don't know exactly how the owner of Value Market feels, at this point as to whether or not they would want to stay or go. I think that, it would depend. But the fact that we've got this supermarket within walking distance of so many homes and apartments, that is really fantastic. And the other piece of it is that it's on a major bus line, and we are not far away from so many food deserts here in town. So there are a lot of folks who come from other neighborhoods where there isn't an accessible supermarket to shop. So there's sort of that social piece of it that we like. So that people come to our neighborhood to shop. We feel very, very good about it. The third piece, again, is the movie theater. That is very well loved, well used. I don't have any access to their financial records or anything. We hope it continues to be successful and an asset, and we hope that continues to stay. So those are the three things we know. Then there's a fourth one that is less known. Beechwood Avenue, which is one block, it's right over the fence of the Mid-City Mall, one block going toward downtown. So it would be north, which is directly adjacent. The neighbors on Beechwood Avenue have created a beautiful little park right on Beecher Avenue. The owners of Mid-City Mall own that piece of land. The neighbors on Beechwood, who have formed their own nonprofit and fundraising arm to keep that as this really nice little respite, actually lease that from the owners of the Mid-City Mall. They are hoping that doesn't become a part of the master plan of whatever happens. And we certainly support them, in the effort to see if they could keep that park right there where it is.
I feel like the more I learn about Mid-City Mall, like the vaster the piece of land really is. It covers a lot of things in Highlands. So it's really interesting to hear about that park. That piece I didn't know.
It's 10, 11 acres, something like that.
Wow, that's massive.
Yeah.
Well, so there has been a lot of discussion alluding to the idea that possible new owners would include residents in their plan of purchase.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that idea?
Well, the feedback we have gotten has been all over the map, from no to, some low density housing, that would be okay. Look at what the Mid-City Mall is now. Put a couple of stories, up on that. Stay within the C2 guidelines for height of 45 feet. And we would be fine. Well, I think it's probably almost 45 feet as is. I haven't measured. That would probably have to be, even for a few stories of housing over there, have to be upzoned and rezoned and all that. Then we've, heard from people who have said, well, maybe medium density would be okay, a little higher than that. Let's go 5, 6 stories. Then we've got a couple of people on the board who love the idea of having something more dense. Maybe in the high-rise category. That said, most high-rise development proposals in the Highlands, not in Tyler Park specifically, because we haven't been faced with that, those processes have been contentious. So our board hasn't voted yet on taking a position. There are some folks who have said, well, let's take a look at some of these new urbanist communities where you've got, that retail, on the first floor, and you've got housing on top, and you still have the library, and you still have the movie theater, and you still have restaurants and all of that. That stuff has been discussed. But again, it's all academic until the property is sold and we find out who has bought it and what they want to do.
And you've sort of alluded to this. Have you been involved in conversations that are happening around the new sale and maybe know of any interested buyers that you can share with us?
I have not. Members of our board have not shared if they have. No, we are definitely not privy.
That's fair enough. Well, thanks for listening to On Track. Today we're discussing Mid-City Mall with Helene Kramer-Longton, president of the Tyler Park Neighborhood Association. We'll be back with more after a break. You're On Track with Louisville Public Media. Springtime is just around the corner and it's not too soon to start planting your garden. Maybe you're wondering if your spot is sunny enough to support sweet peas, how to make your rosebuds abundant, or when to prune your poplar. Ask our master gardeners. Call or text 502-814-TALK. That's 502-814-8255 with your questions for On Track's Spring Gardening Show. Thanks for listening to On Track. Today we're discussing Mid-City Mall with Helene Kramer-Longton, president of the Tyler Park Neighborhood Association. We checked in with some of the current business owners at Mid-City Mall to see how they're feeling about the possibility of new ownership and what this place means to the community. Here's Diana Johnston Comstock, managing partner and co-owner of the Caravan Comedy Club.
We are locally owned. We're not a corporation. We're local. We support local. We want to stay local. I love the uniqueness of this area. You know, when you say keep Louisville weird, no, it's keep the Highlands weird. The community is going to lose in the long run if the mall was just demolished. This is kind of a central location for a lot of community activities that you don't have in this location. Where else are you going to go in this whole Highland area that's not strictly a bar, strictly a restaurant? Whoever buys it, I hope they do take into consideration the community that it's in. Are there things that need to be repaired? Yes. But keeping the history that's already here. Not everything is disposable.
So, listening to that, have you or the Mid-City committee checked in with any of the current business owners? You sort of talked about it a bit, but in line with what we heard, is that something that you're hearing similarly?
Yeah, we've got members of our board who have talked to different owners who they have a relationship with. And yes, I think Ms. Comstock reflects the prevailing point of view. Though the business point of view, you know, that I hear from a couple of owners that I've talked to is that let's wait and see, you know, whatever it's going to become. If I can afford to stay here, I will. If I can't, I won't.
I really like what she said, keep the Highlands weird.
Yes, we want to keep the Highlands weird. And I think most of us on the Tyler Park Neighborhood Association board would have to acknowledge that the physical plant of the Mid-City Mall needs updating. Now, it has been, updated, in the past, but certainly something, even more cutting edge, something more modern, could happen with new owners. And I think, we could end up potentially with something better. Maybe I'm a cockeyed optimist, but I think, based upon the size of the lot and all of that, I think that the potential is just enormous. There are some people, who are just sort of against any change there and want it to stay just the way it is. I don't think that that's entirely realistic. But what we know we're going to advocate for is keeping it local businesses, businesses that are unique, and our library.
But what if it goes the other way? Like, what if Mid-City Mall were to be torn down or significantly redeveloped? What do you think the impact would be on the Highlands community or Louisville as a whole, really?
If it's torn down to the ground, it depends on what is going to replace it.
Right, that's true.
So if I can't speak to the health of the physical plant of the Mid-City Mall. Perhaps foundationally, and I'm not an architect, but perhaps there are some things that are going to need significant repairs, may not be worth fixing, that have to be replaced. We just don't know, what that is all about. But if we lost our, that mosaic of local, unique, walkable retail, and our library and our movie theater, I think that the neighborhood would not be the best for it.
So keeping those pieces, saying you had, let's just say, idealistically, you get to keep those pieces. Is there anything else that you would hope in addition for the future of the mall?
Well, it depends on the unique businesses, additional unique businesses that could come. I mean, excuse me. There are some storefronts that are empty at this point in time. What might replace those? We have a lot of creative people. There are great businesses in the Mid-City Mall that are owned by Louisvillians. They not necessarily live in the Highlands. There are great ideas all over the place.
Helene, thanks so much for being here. Thanks so much for sharing your insight on this topic, and thanks for joining us today on Track.
Thanks for having me.
Helene Kramer-Longton is the president of the Tyler Park Neighborhood Association. She has lived in the Highlands for more than 30 years and is a member of the group's Mid-City Committee focused on the future of the mall. Before we go, let's hear from some current businesses at the Mid-City Mall about what it means to them and what they hope for its future.
I'm Jesse Walker. I am one of the co-owners of Rough Hands Jiu-Jitsu. I think ultimately our experience here has really been a positive one. When we found out we had an opportunity to move the business here, we were very excited about it. This is the type of business that tends to attract, it's very localized, and then it attracts a lot of neighborhood folks. Frankly, we have been keeping an eye out for, relocation opportunities as news and rumors and things have started to become more and more real, and, the possibility of this facility getting sold. We've certainly had to start, coming up with backup plans.
I'm Kate Jones. I'm the assistant manager of the Nearly New Shop.
I'm Rose Snyder. I'm the store manager of Nearly New Shop.
There's so many different walks of life that come in and so many different walks of life that donate here.
And it used to be entirely volunteer run, so we have a lot of people who used to volunteer here who still, come in and want to help out and donate and all of that. So, yeah, it's got long ties.
I think losing this mall, losing the different stores of this mall, like there are the different kind of like units for every different walk of life would have a different kind of impact, and most of them would be pretty bad.
I don't know. Yeah, we hope that they choose to keep the building for sure. And at bare minimum, if they choose to build up, and not tear down what's already here, but it would be tough if we all had to relocate.
On Track is a production of Louisville Public Media. The On Track production team includes Michelle Tyreen Johnson, Jacob Munoz, Alex Biscardi, and Laura Ellis. If you're just tuning in and you want to hear the full show, you can find it now at lpm.org, on the LPM app, or in your favorite podcast app. And let's continue the conversation. Is there something you want to hear about? Something that matters to your Kentuckiana experience? Let us know by sending an email to ontrack@lpm.org. I'm Aisha Jaffer, and you might be a mall rat. You just don't know it yet. Until next time, you're on track with Louisville Public Media.